here we go, bye. Like he's like
Disappears
Just
into the
slides
night.
out.
exactly.
Do you guys want to talk about Louis Vuitton?
I don't know what about.
Tell me more.
So
Black is very black.
I love it.
It's just very. I don't wear this much black. It's just a lot of black, and then the headphones are black. Anyway, Louis Vuitton.
So Louis Vuitton, maybe 4 months ago, announced that they were acquiring Tiffany's.
Yes.
The deal fell through officially Friday. Louis Vuitton claimed that the deal fell through because of COVID uncertainties. Tiffany is now suing LVMH's PE arm, saying that they have to uphold their end of the bargain and complete the transaction. LVMH came back out and said, well, if we're really going to talk about what happened, we pulled out because Tiffany's continuing to paid like $70 million in dividends to their investors during COVID. And they're saying, and that's in no way what we're looking for. That's a waste of capital deployment right now. So now there's a lawsuit.
And that's the only reason they're out?
There's going to be more that comes out. There's
something wrong about that. Something's not right.
It doesn't make sense because Tiffany retains its value, right? Like COVID is not going to affect their jewelry sales. That's it.
It's been recession proof.
Mm-hmm.
Always has been.
High luxury is always recession proof because the rich are not rich during recession.
Right. They're still buying the things that they want to buy. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, like Tiffany is just one of those companies where you buy a pair of earrings, you can sell them again for the same exact price that you bought them at. You're not going to lose. So wow, that's unfortunate, but I think good for Tiffany, right? Like they can find another buyer. And I think a lot of us didn't think that was the right buyer, right? Like I truly believe that the brand was going to be diluted with their purchase because that's what's happened with their other acquisitions. That's me.
Who do you think would be better, Candace?
Oh, that's the question, right? I don't know. There's very likely another, PE firm that could buy it, but who owns that much luxury? I'm not sure.
I think there's only 3 players total who could afford to do this transaction.
And who do you think they are?
I don't remember the names, but I used to know the names because they were in a memo I wrote a couple of weeks ago.
You're funny.
It's like a term paper. Like the ideas go in the head and they just come out after the memo's done. Like it's like okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's weird because all of them have like the name of the group, but then they all have their own PE arm and their own venture arm that have separate names too.
Yeah.
Like LVMH it's called like L Group, and then there's Argo something. So it's some French word. That's like their other M&A arm. So
pretty cool.
Oh, Oracle and TikTok.
Well, I mean, it didn't. While they did attempt to purchase, now suddenly, China is saying like, no, it's a no-go, right? Isn't that what we've heard over the last couple of days? I've been stuck in a room, so I've not really been on top of news. Is there any new developments on that?
I don't know what the newest developments are on that either. I don't know. We'll see if it ever actually gets done.
Yeah, it just seems like everybody, it seems strange, but it's not a bad acquisition, I think, because whoever gets it should make a ton of money. You can't create that kind of like product. It exists in the world and you buy it. That's it. Like you can't make something viral like that. So yeah, whoever buys it is going to end up with an asset that they could even resell or whatever.
Yeah. I don't know.
I like it. I think Palantir should have bought it. That's a joke. It'd be terrible.
I was just listening and nodding.
Listen, they have the exact same mission. They believe in the same principles of data and privacy and security. So why not?
Or lack of principles. Yeah.
Wow, go for it.
It's
Go
like
for
a
it.
perfect marriage, the culture fit.
But did you see that they filed to go public?
Palantir?
Mm-hmm.
How much?
I don't remember. I think they're doing a private listing.
Oh, that's all the rage now.
I mean, it's cheaper, it's faster, it's less exposure to the wolves. Who started that trend? Was it Spotify?
Maybe. Yeah, it was somebody kind of. Oh, was it Slack?
Was it? I really don't remember.
I don't know.
So, Lexi, this is kind of like a new subject. Is this a new green chair?
No, this is the same. This is the same green chair it's always been.
Maybe it's more green because you have on like this beautiful emerald top, and then your plants are behind you, and so there's this money is like surrounding you.
I'm glad.
I feel like
energy I'm giving you.
Your energy is money. Like
it's like a green throne kind of.
That's kind of what it's like.
I like that. But emerald green is one of my favorite colors, so it's in my house often, in lots of places.
Yeah. Is it? Do you say often or do you say often, without the T?
It depends on what I'm talking about and who I'm talking to. I'm very conscious of when I say often and often. It's part of my code switch. I can do either one.
Oh, which direction do you code switch in and out of?
I would think often.
Often is for the culture?
No. Often is for the money in the LPs. Yeah. Often is for the friends.
Yeah, really? Often is more. Yeah, often is more. Yeah.
Well, I don't know sometimes. We've talked about my previous life experience. And so I'm not certain which one's right.
That's all right. We're here to coach you.
Thank you. God, now the audience is like, what's her problem?
No, you know what word that I struggle with to this day? And it's both accent, but also just the community I grew up in. Bury. Okay. I struggle with it.
Bury.
Half the time I say bury. And I know that's not correct, but it just comes out.
Now, is that a Baltimore thing?
Yes.
Okay. Say it again.
Bury.
Okay.
Bury the hatchet.
Yeah.
Bury the hatchet.
Bury the hatchet. She was buried in, I don't know, Patterson Park Cemetery.
The backyard. Oh, okay. Got it. Marlon says we're supposed to start now. Oh. This is where he's going to play in the beginning.
You can just cut us off and just play the video.
Yeah, just do it. Exactly. Mid-sentence. Just go ahead.
He said, let's roll. That's our cue to just like wrap it up. Let's roll.
I'm starting it right now. Hitting the button. He still should have started it right now. What's he waiting on?
Enunciation is for the money. I love it.
We're a company and a venture capital firm that invests in companies run by women and minorities, particularly when they're away from the coast. I'm very, very focused on the Midwest. You are watching live the first pitch competition on Twitch, where you, the viewer, have an opportunity to vote for companies that you like best.
So every episode, we have 3 judges, plus you, the audience. You also get to judge each pitch. After each presentation, you'll see a cute little box pop up with a Twitter link for you to vote for if you would invest in the company yourselves.
During round 1, we watched as the startups presented their pitch deck in 5 minutes or less. Then the judges began their Q&A. After we selected viewer-submitted questions for the founders to answer, in the end, the audience and judges had the opportunity to vote in the poll below for the company they like best.
Candace, do you mind if we start?
Oh, sure. Sorry.
Brian, you're on mute.
No, just saying we're back. That's all.
So we are back. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to episode 2 of season 3 of Twitch Pitch, the very first pitch competition here on Twitch, hosted by Untitled Capital. You are joined here by myself, Brian Brackeen, who is one of our general partners and an expert in all things artificial intelligence and machine learning, and Candace, our founder and champion of both the Hillman Accelerator and Lightships. She's a general partner there and an expert on all things e-commerce and CPG. Myself, I lead the investment team here, and I am a health tech enthusiast, so I'm really excited about this season. Every episode, you will see 2 companies pitch. They'll talk a little bit about themselves. You'll see a 5-minute pitch from them, and then afterwards, we'll open the conversation up for questions from both us and the audience. In addition, we all get to vote. So just like our investment committee, our chairman, Candace, I'm loving the Vanna White that's been added to this. It's my R&B hands, you know, my like Boys to Men. Oh no, Candace, you're muted.
I'm just helping out. Candace actually signs, by the way. I would like to see you sign some of this for the people, Candace.
Do you?
You're still, yeah, see?
I took 3 years of sign language, so
Teach me.
Yeah. I had considered actually becoming an interpreter at some point, but you know, my life took me in this direction, and it works.
I really want to learn American Sign Language. Okay, we'll talk about that afterwards.
It's a lot of fun. I started taking sign language because I was a flight attendant in college, and there was a passenger who that was deaf, and it was really tough to watch, like someone being on an airplane who couldn't speak the language. So that's why I started it.
Wow. Oh, that's so important. So I guess in addition to being our chairwoman in chief, she also is an amazing multilingual individual who loves to help people. And so we vote. The way we're voting this season is a little different than in the past. As usual, Candace gets 2 votes, Brian gets a vote, I get a vote, and the audience, you collectively get a vote. But this time we're doing it over text message. So after every pitch, you'll see a number pop up on the screen, and I'll read it to you as well for how to vote for your favorite company. So Twitch Pitch is brought to you by some really great sponsors. This season, we are sponsored by the Hillman Accelerator, the accelerator founded by Candace, which was the first in the Midwest to focus on underrepresented founders building really great things in the region. In addition, we are sponsored by OTF, which is the Ohio Third Frontier. It's a tech-based economic development group within the Greater Ohio Development Services Agency. It's committed to transforming the state's economy through accelerated growth of diverse startups and early-stage tech companies. In addition to that, we're also sponsored by our friends at AWS, Amazon Web Services. They offer reliable, scalable, and inexpensive cloud computing services. It's free to join, pay for whatever you need to use. That's it. It's used by companies both big and small, and it's fantastic. In addition, this season is brought to us by one additional sponsor called AARP Innovation Labs. AARP Innovation Labs accelerate the innovation ecosystem by working with startups, accelerators, incubators, and the innovation economy to empower people to choose how they want to live as they age. So we're really excited that everyone joining us today. We thank our sponsors once again. They're doing great work. And today we're going to see 2 pitches in health and wellness. And we will bring on our very first pitch of the night to talk about why they built the company in just a moment.
Hey everyone, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening. It's nice to meet you guys. Wow, this is awesome.
Thanks for coming.
Thank
you for having me.
So maybe give us a minute on your why.
Sure. So my name is Jefferson Griscavage, and I'm in my 3rd year of medical school at the University of Virginia. And I'm also the co-founder and CEO of Vuetech Health Innovations. And briefly, Vuetech Health Innovations is a core team of doctoral students in medicine, nursing, and computer engineering. And we're united by our passion for leveraging new technologies in creative ways to help health systems that are broken for so many patients. And we met at a health hackathon in 2019, and we were tasked to come up with the technology to help caregivers take better care of vulnerable patients. And given our backgrounds, what we came up with was a novel system that used machine learning and computer vision in order to predict and prevent adverse events in hospitals, nursing homes, and assisted living facilities. And our mission as a company is to improve healthcare for patients, providers, and systems, And I'm really looking forward to sharing our vision here with you today.
Awesome. 3 seconds to go.
Okay, so quick question. So can we go back to Jefferson for a second? Because I think some founders are struggling with this question. So quick question for you. And it's Jefferson,
Correct.
right? Okay, I'm sorry. So why did you want to be a doctor?
Yeah, so I think one of the questions is always like, why do you want to be a doctor, right? And I think the classic answer that people hear is you want to help people. But I think being a doctor goes beyond that. It's understanding the why and being able to leverage your skills to be able to unite teams and mobilize different people, because medicine is a multidisciplinary approach. You're talking with nurses, therapists, and so you have to be able to kind of negotiate the entire healthcare system. So, it's more than just helping patients. It's really kind of leading healthcare.
When did you decide you wanted to be a doctor?
So I originally got into it in my senior year of high school when I broke my thumb, and then I went through surgery and I kind of saw the whole health system. And then through undergrad, that's really when it kind of solidified it for me.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. Now, so that's a good why. Helps us to better understand the history, where it came from, and then maybe it helps us understand what they created. So here we go.
Hello, my name is Jefferson Griscabbage, and I am the co-founder and CEO of Vuetech Health Innovations. At Vuetech, we apply machine learning and computer vision in order to improve patient safety. Accidental falls in the elderly are both serious and costly. Consider the following data from the CDC. Falls are the #1 cause of fatal and non-fatal injury in adults over the age of 65. In fact, you probably have a loved one who you know has fallen or who is at risk of falling. These falls are also extremely expensive. Projected medical costs for falls in 2020 is a whopping $67.7 billion in the US alone. Finally, 4.3 million falls occur each year in a healthcare-related setting, that is, a hospital, nursing home, or assisted living facility. That means 4.3 million fall injuries and deaths can, and should, be prevented. Eliminating these preventable falls can save lives and money. EVA, or Emergency Video Alerts, is the first artificial intelligence program capable of predicting and preventing healthcare-related falls in real time. EVA's patent-pending technology begins by analyzing a video feed of a patient's room using state-of-the-art AI and facial recognition algorithms. It then recognizes dangerous situations as they develop and notifies caregivers in real time so that they can intervene and prevent falls from ever happening. Importantly, the video data is immediately deleted and is never seen by anyone. In this way, EVA is the only product to date that protects patient safety while also upholding patient privacy in sensitive medical environments. Very briefly, here's how EVA's algorithm works. Consider the following two scenarios. In this top one, EVA recognizes two people are in this room. The nurse, who's standing, that's okay, and the patient who's positioned horizontally over the bed. The system infers that the patient is lying down, which is also okay, so no alerts are sent. Compare that to the bottom scenario. Now EVA recognizes that the patient is alone in this room, and posture detection algorithms track the patient's movements and environmental interactions. EVA recognizes that this patient is now sitting up in bed, and he has a high probability of subsequently standing and falling. So EVA sends a real-time alert to his caregivers so they can respond and prevent this impending fall from happening. There is currently nothing like EVA on the market for 4 main reasons. First, applicability. Our algorithms can be expanded to include everything from falls to gait analysis, pressure ulcer seizures. The possibilities are nearly endless. Second, we are extremely user-friendly, which is critical in modern clinical medicine. EVA is just a camera which works in the background, essentially no setup required. Third, EVA is predictive. Predicting and preventing adverse events is far superior to simply reacting. And finally, EVA is private. Since no one ever sees the recorded video, we can do all of this while still protecting the privacy of the patient. This comes at a time when demands within the US healthcare system are changing rapidly. On one hand, the medical field is in the midst of a paradigm shift to a value-based model of insurance reimbursement. In this new model, disease prevention and patient experience are emphasized and rewarded financially. On the other hand, advancing technology has led to the development of AI programs which are increasingly capable, reliable, applicable, and accepted. AI that improves patient outcomes will define the future of healthcare. At Vuetech, we are excited and proud to be on the forefront of this movement. Our business model is to market EVA directly to hospitals, nursing homes, and assisted living facilities. To give you a sense of our market size, the average cost for a fall in 2012 was nearly $35,000. I'm sure you can appreciate that this number is likely much higher today, given the continual rise in healthcare costs. What's more, because falls are classified by the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services as never events, Insurance companies do not reimburse for hospital stays associated with falls. That means health systems bear the full financial burden of these costly events. Since establishing Vuetech in November 2019, we have developed robust fall detection and prediction algorithms and interviewed over 50 nurses, patients, and hospital administrators to tailor our product to their specific needs. We are also performing a research study at the University of Virginia School of Nursing to quantify our system's accuracy. Additionally, our team is working around the clock to expand and integrate additional features, such as pressure ulcer prevention and seizure monitoring. Our leadership team consists of doctoral students and recent graduates studying nursing, medicine, and computer engineering. Between us, we bring thousands of hours of direct bedside care, years of laboratory research experience, and professional expertise in machine learning and computer vision programming. Together, we are uniquely equipped to capture developing opportunities at the interface of healthcare and technology. Finally, I want to leave you with this parting thought. The COVID pandemic has revealed concerning disparities in U.S. healthcare. We have seen firsthand how minority people and vulnerable patients have been disproportionately impacted by the dangers of hospitalization. Perhaps now more than ever, we have a moral imperative to invest in technologies that will improve healthcare for patients, providers, and systems. Thank you so much for your kind attention. Together, let's build a safer tomorrow.
Let's bring Jefferson back.
Hello.
That was
Thank
good.
you.
How's it going? So how many of these have you done before?
How many pitches have I done?
Yeah.
This would be, I guess, the second one. I've never pitched to a venture capital firm before, so this is first and foremost. Yeah, you guys get my first shot.
Very good.
So who's going to be mean? Not me.
Actually, Candace, I'm predicting your first question if kind of my research is accurate.
I'm going to ask the first question.
Okay, go ahead.
So my question actually is going to be, so why this versus an accelerometer? What are you hearing from the feedback from nurses and hospital systems? So how else can this be solved? And why do you feel like this is the proper way to solve the problem?
Sure, that's an excellent question. So I think first and foremost, when you think of a fall detection product, you think about Life Alert, right? Which is a wearable where a patient falls, they click the Life Alert button and it sends an alert. That has the major disadvantage of being reactive and not predictive. And secondly, because it's a wearable, a lot of elderly patients that have these, they either forget to wear them or forget to put them on, or they're really uncomfortable. So if you look at longitudinal data, approximately 50% of patients don't use their Life Alert or other accelerometer after 2 years of using it. The other popular fall detection or prediction technologies right now, one are bed alarms. So it's a pressure sensor in a bed. When the patient stands up, then that alarm goes off to let caregivers know the patient that's not supposed to stand up is now standing up. However, there was a recent systematic review and meta-analysis that came out in 2019 that shows that bed alarms don't actually reduce fall rate, they just reduce time to response, because by the time it goes off, the patient has already fallen. And so our fall prediction algorithms detect when that patient is sitting up, so therefore we can get that nurse in that room to prevent that fall faster. Because of the limitations in bed alarms and wearables, what a lot of hospitals are going to is it's literally a camera that they wheel into the room, and it's somebody's job to sit there and watch like 15 video feeds at once, which is, as you can imagine, is incredibly invasive, especially to patients who are living in hospitals or nursing homes to have somebody watching them all day. And so we kind of saw all of these different technologies that exist and saw the limitations in them. And we said, instead of this person, we could just use computer vision. And so what we've done is we've talked to a lot of patients. They feel a lot more comfortable with a computer, artificial intelligence analyzing it as opposed to a person watching it. We talked to nurses, and they like the idea of having this system that alerts them when potential harm can occur. And they like the fact that it's being developed by healthcare professionals ourselves, because the space is cumbersome. And so we understand like the caregiving workflow. And we approached a lot of healthcare administrators, and they're excited of this idea for two reasons. First and foremost being the fact that they could potentially reduce costs with this. And secondly is they like the idea of having potentially de-identified data in patients' rooms, and they like the idea of potentially running quality improvement or healthcare improvement initiatives, being able to collect large amounts of de-identified data, with the idea not being to punish anybody, but just to kind of see how patient movements relate to outcomes. So this could potentially be an enormous research tool moving forward.
Okay, so what did you think my first question was going to be?
I thought your first question was going to be where are your like sales, or how has that been?
No, I'm gonna leave that alone. Right.
Thank you.
Who's up next?
I'm going to go because I can't help it. I love the computer vision startups, as you can imagine. So a lot of this kind of estimation AI has really come a long way in the last few years, which you are obviously well aware of. But a couple of questions I have are around camera location. Do you see the cameras being like in your images, kind of like on the side of the bed, looking at the bed? Do you see the cameras being like above, down, up at the feet, looking up? So how are you imagining the camera location? And then if you can't get uniform camera locations at different hospitals or even room to room, how are you working on kind of solving that problem?
Yeah, that's a great question too. So right now, the way that we see it is we don't want it kind of at bed height. We want it up in as a security foot, like kind of like a security camera. So that way the patient, it's not invasive. They don't even think about it. And what we're doing right now is we are running a study at the University of Virginia School of Nursing, like I mentioned, for a feasibility study where we're quantifying our system's sensitivity and specificity. And we have several different rooms that we're putting them in with different camera angles, as well as with different patients and different body habituses. So that way we can really kind of generalize this to the most rooms and most patients possible. And we have our tech team that's kind of working through that data. So as we're developing our first product that we're about to launch into market, we're making sure that we're kind of checking to make sure we can account for all angles.
On the de-identified data, and are you capturing the video in the hospital, or is it going to the cloud? Is it their cloud? Is it your cloud? So I'm kind of curious about that from the kind of privacy perspective.
Yeah, that's a great question. So right now our business model is the reason why we opted for nursing homes and hospitals specifically is that we wanted to be able to scale this. And I'm going to get to your question here. So the way we have it is all the different cameras on a floor will go to a centralized computer at the nursing station. It's processed in the nursing station, and the only thing that's sent out is an alert to the patient or to the nurse's mobile phones, as well as a local alert on that desktop. So none of the patient's video ever goes to any cloud services. So in that way, we're making sure that those images stay local and that there's no way for it to get out. And to kind of touch on the scalability, we decided to go into hospitals because one, that's what we're experienced with. And two, because we can route all of the different cameras to a centralized computing unit, we can get costs way down as opposed to marketing this to houses where they would have to pay somewhere between $1,500 and $2,000 to get a room outfitted in their house. We could go in the hospital and do a whole floor for about $5,000 to $6,000. So it's much more cost efficient, and we could kind of get it out there faster.
I'm going to just have a comment, and I'll turn it over to Lexi. I don't want to monopolize, especially because the computer vision startups always monopolize. But I think you're doing the right thing by leaving the data in the hospitals and in the nursing homes. I think that's what the customers will expect. I think that's what privacy requires. Helps you with all HIPAA compliance, helps you with a lot of issues, as you're well aware. I will say that when you don't bring the data back, it does make it tougher to train sometimes the additional models. So this is where, given that you're working with kind of whole human bodies, GANs or generative adversarial networks, where you can kind of create fake or generated humans in different positions in beds, and then use that to train, so you're protecting privacy. These people aren't real, right? And yet you can then take those algorithms and send them to your customers after they've been completed.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Lexi.
So without revealing anything proprietary, if anything in this answer is proprietary, what are you feeding your model? Are you using things like patient indication or other historical elements you know about the patient, height, weight, whatever, to kind of customize likelihood of fall on a case-by-case basis?
Correct. So we're looking at a few different things here. So first and foremost is we started with a very basic premise that bed alarms don't work because it gets it after the patient has stood up. And so the first thing that we did was we decided, okay, when that patient is going from supine or lying to sitting up, maybe we send that alert then because that's a trigger for them standing up. And then we talked to a lot of nurses and a lot of hospital administrators, and they said what we see patients falling is it's usually patients with altered mental status. And what they'll do is they'll usually crawl themselves over the side of the railings, which are up, or they'll slide themselves to the bottom of the bed. So then we've created a number of custom rules whereby we can have a bounding box over the bed. And if we have patients that are breaking that box for a period of certain seconds, we can then ping that as an alert that this patient, something is not necessarily right in this room. And we're not quite there yet, but what we would like to do is be able to recognize patients' habits throughout the night. And so then that way we can notify nurses when a patient looks a little bit more agitated, because ultimately the reason why these patients are getting up is because there's some unmet healthcare need. And so if we could identify markers to show that they're agitated versus them having to say it because they might not be able to, then potentially we could, catch these patients.
Great. And I'll just remind everyone watching, please feel free to add your questions into the comments, or else if you're watching on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, throw your questions in the comment section and we will ask those as well. So one more question while we do that.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit more about go-to-market strategy. Who on your team is really going to lead the charge on that for getting into the right hands at hospitals and assisted living facilities, and who's your champion at each of those potential sites?
Sure. So a lot of that work will actually be done by myself. So I've gone, and of course my background's in medicine, but I've gone and I've talked to a lot of CEOs of hospitals, CFOs of hospitals and nursing homes. And one of the benefits to actually being a medical student is that I could just email these people and then they're happy to set up a meeting with me. And so our plan is to kind of go to them with research data that shows, this could potentially reduce this has a return on investment, and then, pitch it to them from there.
Great. So we have a question for you here from WatchHond 101 asking, are there any other applications other than nursing homes or hospitals that you can see this tech being useful for?
For sure. So ultimately, I think, like I said at the beginning, we weren't sure whether we wanted to do home health versus nursing homes and hospitals. We opted for health systems, given our familiarity and the scalability. But ultimately, we would like to be able to apply this into home health, either for home health care for patients with Alzheimer's or other forms of dementia, or even as far as childcare and home health. Just because once we can create custom rules, we can say, once someone opens the door and leaves, that can be an alert. If someone messes with the stove, that's an alert. So in that way, we can monitor kids and we can monitor elderly, again, in a way that's private, but in a way that we can enforce custom rules. And once we have more robust data sets, then we can, the possibilities are really endless.
Thank you. And for everyone watching, if you'd like to vote for this company, text 3 to 203-408-6432. Once again, text 3 to 203-408-6432. And while you're doing that, we have a couple of other questions, if you don't mind.
Oh, no, that's it. I love them.
Are there any other adverse health events that this tech could be useful for? And that's from Blue Arrow 757. What is that, a Hampton Roads person? I know that area code.
Yeah, so right now we see ourselves, like I mentioned, with falls, obviously. The big push we're making right now is for pressure ulcers. So current guidelines state that if a patient isn't rolled by about 45 degrees every 2 hours, then that patient is at high risk of developing a pressure ulcer, which could be obviously devastating. So we are setting alerts when patients aren't rolled. We're looking into seizure monitoring. We're looking into gait assessments. So as patients are walking, either to or from the bathroom or out of the room, there are certain well-known markers of decreased gait, of instability that would predispose somebody to falling. So that would also be a little bit more predictive. So there's a lot of different kind of health outcomes that we're looking at here.
And one last question from Zels Jr. To whom or how will you sell? Getting hospitals to pay for something that's not procedure-based is quite difficult.
Sure, and I think that's a great question. So that was one of the things that we were grappling with kind of at the beginning, which can we get health systems to buy this? And after talking to a number of hospital executives, the answer is a resounding yes. So in 2008, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services classified falls and some of these other adverse events as never events, which means that insurance companies do not reimburse for the entire stay associated with that fall. So let's just say a patient, let's use an example of pressure ulcers. So a patient, let's say, has a car accident. They require multiple trauma surgeries, multiple surgeries during the hospital for months. And at the very end of their stay, they developed a pressure ulcer because they were bedbound for so long. Well, now, because that is a never event, the hospital is on the hook for that entire stay. So for millions of dollars. So for what the executives have told us, which is if you can reduce one adverse event, then you are saving us millions of dollars. So in that way, a lot of company CEOs are and CFOs are said that they'd be very inclined to kind of invest in our product, especially if we can get some longitudinal data to show that we do reduce adverse event rates. And I do want to say one more thing, if I may, for why specifically Lightship Capital and why I think that we're like a really good fit for you guys. Is I think that you guys are a socially conscious venture capital firm, and if you look at where this is going to be especially useful, is it's not the rich private hospitals that are having these adverse events, because they are well staffed and there's always people around. It's really what this comes down to is this will come down to hospitals and nursing homes that are really in the underserved areas, and they have they're understaffed and their facilities can't meet the demand of all the patients there. And that's when you're seeing these adverse events. And it's really these hospitals that have high rates of adverse events. And so with this technology, being in the medical field, I think our team is really interested in getting this technology into those places. So that way we could potentially work to mitigate some of these health disparities that we're seeing across socioeconomic statuses. And then given you guys the background, we thought that this could be potentially a great fit for us.
Well, greatly, deeply appreciate that. Yeah, and deeply agree.
So thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you.
How do you sign thank you, Candace? Can we teach us? Oh man. Okay, there you go. That's not very. I could figure that out.
I learned that from Blue's Clues as a child. Well, it's true.
I was and I was like very much an adult when that was out.
Your daughter didn't?
No, I'm saying that I was an
Blue's
adult when Blue's Clues was out.
I know, but didn't Bree
Yes,
watch
but
Blue's
she's saying
Clues?
from my childhood.
Okay, I get it. Let me just say, Jefferson is a thoughtful young man. You can tell that he really cares. And I can say that it's sometimes difficult for a young person to translate empathy toward an older person. And really getting into it and trying to figure out how to solve their problems. And so I was struck by that. Also his comments about him thinking we're kind of socially responsible. I'm glad that that's coming through in what we're doing. That's actually really, really neat. This company, while has a long way to go, everyone knows it's difficult for me to get really far behind something that's not quite ready. I can see the path toward getting into market for this one, and the need for it. The older my father gets, we've been traveling quite a bit to Detroit recently, and so I'm seeing my dad a lot more, and I'm seeing that he's slowed down, and I can tell that soon it's going to be my job as the only daughter in the family to really make sure that he's well cared for. And, life is changing. So what are those things I'm going to need in his home as he ages in place to make sure that he's safe and taken care of when one of his children can't be there to do it? So, I really see the need for this product. I need to do some more research around, what else is out there? What else could be effective? Do we need to put millions of dollars behind something like this to get to market? I can see where it's necessary, but I just need to learn more.
Yeah, I'll just speak to the algorithmic side. That the technology that they use is something called pose estimation. It's just trying to figure out where the limbs are, where our body is in any image at any given time. Super fast. It's near real time. So he's using the right kind of approach, at least from what I can tell. It isn't a totally unique problem in the sense that lots of people at lots of different universities have the ability to create algorithms that do that. But I think his knowledge of healthcare in general and HIPAA and medicine has led him to small tweaks in the product, like everything running in the hospital and not coming to him in the cloud, that will help them to be successful when others will kind of spend a year or two doing the wrong thing, you know? I also think for his second pitch and his first venture pitch, that was very, very, very smooth, way better than my second pitch or my first venture pitch. And
better than my pitches now.
yeah, totally dope. So when you have that, an empathetic founder, as you mentioned, a very easy to like him, right? Easy to like him. And it's much easier for him. I think at this stage, it would be angel money, maybe even from doctors, right? To kind of get you to a certain stage, get you to the advisors and the scientific advisory board you need.
Federal grants.
Exactly. Some good federal grants, and then maybe venture just after that.
I agree. I'd love to see, if they haven't done this already, I'd love to see them apply for SBIRs. I also think they could be a great candidate for some of the NSF grants that are, I think they're accepting grants right now for some new opportunities. They are. So I really love to see them take part in that. One thing that I don't think anyone's really tapped into in this market in terms of just a new demographic, I'd love to see some people go to apartment complexes with this. Like, my grandmother lives in a 60 plus apartment complex, and there are, thousands of those all over the country. And I think it'd be a great feature just to have in the apartment. And you could charge me $50 a month, on top of whatever the fee is, to just have this in those places too. And then you also don't have to deal with, healthcare system issues. And I think it's a really good value add for those senior living communities, for people who are very active and mobile, but as a just in case feature. But I'd love this founder. I think he's incredible. It would be really, really excited to see where this takes him long term. He seems really hungry to learn and to grow, and that's always the best to see.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna do the number one more time. Always say hi to Elle. What's up, Elle? Thanks for coming.
I see Elle and Kobe are here.
I love when our founders from our programs and investments are here. That's super fun. Sometimes I'm like, why are they doing that? And then it's well, it's because we're all friends. Totally get it.
So one more time, if you'd like to vote for Vuetech, text 3 to 203-408-6432.
Aw, Fox is here too. This is so fun.
Oh, nice. All right. And so while you guys are voting, we are going to bring in our next company. I think we're going to bring in Dr. Juan Pablo to talk about his why.
Hi, how are you? Very nice to see you, finally.
Good to see you too.
How's everything going there?
Fantastic.
Living the dream. Living the dream.
Yeah. It's amazing. Congratulations to Jefferson. He's doing an amazing job. It's for sure. It's going to help a lot of elderly people in the future. Amazing.
That's the best part of the show, is that the people that are on it are all rooting for each other too, which is great. Because it's also important, right?
Yeah, we're in a competition, but it is not actually a competition, because we are in different fields, different kind of job that they're doing, different technologies. So, and as he said, we are alone in the healthcare system. Nobody or not much companies or people are working for doctors or for patients in this case. And talking about an experience, but I prefer to speak that in the minute that I have. So it's congratulations, guys, to focus on a special episode to work for healthcare, even for doctors or healthcare providers, and for patients. That at the end, those are the most important people for us. And this COVID-19 show us that we're working alone.
Yeah.
So shall we show the video?
Up to you. If you don't have any questions before.
Oh yeah.
The why, right? I'd really love to know the why.
The why I'm doctor? Oh, sure.
Well, why did you become a doctor?
I didn't see the 1 minute. That's why I didn't say anything yet.
Oh yeah, where is our Marlon?
What are you gonna ask?
All right, Pablo. Thank you for producing tonight. Thank you.
It's all right. Well, my name is Juan Pablo. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Martixa. I grew up in a small country in South America, Bolivia. I started medicine because my mom is a retired nurse. She was my inspiration to become a doctor. And also my father died when was he 45 years old and I was 14 years old. There wasn't enough doctors in my country that time. It was difficult for us to get doctors, and that's why we created this startup to get access to doctors and healthcare services for all. I'm working in the front lines in the COVID. Remind me to those times. I'm talking about 15 years old, and still the healthcare didn't improve too much. That's why I'm saying we're fighting along, and we need more people like you guys to invest, to trust in companies that are, they want to have a good or make do a high impact in the society. But thank you. That's me.
Yeah. Powerful, powerful. Thank you for sharing. And here's more about the company.
Hi, everybody. My name is Juan Pablo. I'm the CEO and founder of Martixa, the AI-powered telehealth platform for doctors. Accurate clinical documentation is expensive, takes too much time, and is annoying for the patient experience. Physicians need to focus on patients and complete clinical documentation accurately and efficiently instead of manual note taking. The solution, Martixa, is a smart telehealth platform powered by AI that enables doctors to offer high-quality physician consultations while allowing them to complete clinical documentation accurately and efficiently so they can focus on what matters, the patient, instead of manual note taking or the paperwork that we have to do every day. Talking about the product, Martixa uses machine learning to provide highly accurate automatic speech recognition for a medical virtual visit. Our technology captures physician-patient conversations quickly and efficiently to extract insight using natural language processing to entry into the electronic health record systems. Our algorithms are specifically trained to understand the terminology and style of clinical language from unstructured medical sources. The market size we're achieving as a company is the AI healthcare market. It is 31.3 billion. They're talking about the competition. There are traditional telehealth platforms that only connects physician with the patients. There are also some telehealth platforms that are integrated with the EHR, and some companies that only use AI as an assistant. Martixa has the first all-in-one solution, so it has its own telehealth platform, it has its own EHR integration, and it's developing its own AI assistant to help doctors in delivering healthcare services. Martixa has two-sided business model that connects physicians with patients. We're asking a 50 flat fee per patient consultation, which Martixa takes 25%, and the doctor takes the 75% of this amount. As a Martixa, we can also double the volume of patients seen in a day. We usually see 20 patients on average in a day, and we have to complete the clinical documentation that takes around 4 to 5 hours in a day. So we can use those 4 to 5 hours in a day to see more patients. That means we have to get more revenue in a year. We are talking about more than $100,000 in a year as a revenue, because Martixa avoids the clinical documentation or the paperwork that we have to do each day in each consultation. Talking about the traction, we have delivered more than 5,000 consultations. We have subscribed 50 physicians already to our platform, and we're delivering healthcare services in more than 10 medical specialties. Our month-over-month growth is 50%. This is the roadmap of Martixa and what we want to achieve by the next year. We started as a COVID-19 screening, helping people to identify the risk of being infected with this COVID-19 virus in low, middle, and high risk. And we needed, and we wanted to control those patients. So we implemented telehealth, and right now we are developing our second version of our EHR, so we can have a higher volume of patients, and we can also integrate with with our AI assistant. And our final goal as a company is to develop this AI assistant by the end of the year, so we can deploy and start selling, start with the sales as a company, and make this company an open API, so we can also make some deals and businesses with other hospitals, with other companies that have EHRs or telehealth platforms. That is also another main or way to get revenue for Martixa. Talking about the team, I have more than 5 years of experience as a primary care physician, and more than 8 years in the digital healthcare industry. Elisa, she's a successful businesswoman. She led to the exit to her last startup, and also more than 10 years in the healthcare industry. Alfredo, with a strong background as a machine learning engineer and data scientist, with more than 10 years also in the digital healthcare industry. We are a very complementary team, and we have the skills and experience to deliver this to drive this company to the exit. Talking about the fundraising, we're right now raising 1 million. 70% of this amount of money is going to be to complete our product that we are developing, the AI assistant, and the 30% is going to be delivered to the marketing and sales. And that's Martixa, the AI-powered telehealth platform for doctors. Thank you so much, and hope to see you soon.
All right. What are you going to say, Candace?
I love startup Chile companies. Like, I really do. They pump out great companies. It's almost like the mass challenge companies. Like, you see just some amazing companies coming through. Oh.
Consistently, year in, year out.
Super consistent. Super consistent.
Yeah. Shall I bring him back?
Please.
Oh my God, no. I saw Candice saying, yes, where is he? All right, I guess Candice is going to be first.
I will ask a question. So tell me, where do these 50 doctors come from that you've got on the platform currently?
Candice, when we were in this COVID-19 thing, we wanted to help a lot of people not only in the United States, but also in Latin America, where I come from. So we started with this telehealth platform, as I said in the pitch, and I tried to contact my colleagues from the United States. I would say 30 to 40% of the doctors are in the United States, and the rest are in Latin America, serving people in Latin America too, because I knew that the healthcare systems are very fragile in Latin America, so we wanted to help them. With our experience in New York, being the epicenter of this virus, help us a lot in order to help LATAM. So that answering your question, 40% of the doctors are in the United States, and the rest are in Latin America.
And so how is the price point? Does the price point translate into Latin America, or is there a different price point?
What do you mean with the price point?
So I think I saw you say something like there's a $50 fee somewhere in there.
All right, you're talking about the yeah. No, that's for more focus in United States. Yes, okay. That's our model for United States, because we consider $50 it's okay compared to $150 that usually you can get in another medical consultation on the market. So we thought that $50 is a good price, and we can get access for a lot of people. We're focusing more after seeing this pandemic. We're focusing more in Hispanics first, African Americans, because those populations are left alone. We're left alone for many years, and we saw it during the COVID-19. So we think that with $50, it's going to be easier, it's going to be fast, it's going to be affordable for most of them, And yes, that's the business model that we are developing or we are achieving to put it into United States, which is, I think, is very competitive comparing with our competitors.
So in the competition slide, is that global competition or is that US or LATAM or kind of a mix?
It is US. It is US because we only can compete with high-tech companies in the United States. We cannot compete with companies in Latam because they don't have the high technology that we have and that we are trying to develop or we are developing in United States. So those companies are at least working in United States, if not based.
So you would be possibly a leader in Latin America.
Yes, that's why that's one feature that we have besides giving these features or services in Spanish, because I'm Hispanic. That's one feature that we have. Another feature is that we have the access to the high technology in United States, and we can get the Latin American market easily because we have also strong connections in there, very good network. We are part of Startup Chile currently. In New York, we are part of. We won we classified to the final of the New York City Majors Office Health competition, and we're still waiting for the results. And if we win, that's going to give us a lot of space in New York for to help Hispanic populations in New York.
Awesome. But, I'm sorry, I won't monopolize all the questions. Who wants to go next?
No, it's great. I don't want to go to Ryan because they're going to ask technical things that I'm going to tell my CTO. I prefer to tell like... No, it's all right. Thank you, Candice. Amazing. Okay, let's go, Ryan. Let's go.
Here we go.
All right.
Cool question. However, my first question actually was around the Latin market in the U.S. If we think about Miami, New York, multiple cities in Texas, Los Angeles, there's also an opportunity, I think, there for the Spanish side of your application to work. So how are you thinking about U.S. LATAM population, U.S./LATAM population? How are you thinking about that?
Ryan, I didn't see the pitch because I only had 5 minutes. We have 60 million population of Hispanics in the United States. Imagine if we can just deliver 100,000 medical virtual visits in the next year, we can get a revenue of 1 million in the first year. We have a target population of 60 million of people, Hispanics, that 90% of them don't even speak English. So it's a huge market for us, only in the United States, and we're not talking about elderly population that also needs these kind of services. We're not talking about African Americans also that need these kind of services. And yes, there are vulnerable populations that we are targeting with our services.
Yeah, I think with English and Spanish, there's just so many people. South America, it's a great business. Technically, I have a question about the national NLP stuff. So tell me to understand where the AI starts and stops and where the human interaction starts and stops. So to explain that a little more to me.
All right. So this is the real product, our product startup, I would say. Besides, because there are a lot of telehealth companies, blah, 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 we have our differentiators for that. It's okay. Where's our value for this product, the AI assistant? So we are developing this AI assistant for virtual visits first, because this COVID drove us to us. That's good for us. Before the COVID, 2 out of 10 patients visit or use telehealth services. Right now, 8 out of 10 patients are using telehealth services. So that was very good for us because we could test our prototype in our virtual visits. And how it works, it captures the physician-patient consultation, or the physician-patient interaction. It captures the speech or the conversation. It transfers into text, and we analyze the text in our platform with our AI assistant. We classify the information that it's needed to put it into the EHR. and our algorithms understand perfectly the medical and clinical terminology, so we can identify and classify, as I said, the information to put it into the EHR. So the doctor can only focus on the patient, like you and me. We're just talking. I'm not taking any notes for anything because I don't need. My assistant is doing it for me. And after this interaction, I'm just gonna leave and I'm gonna go ahead with the next patient, because currently we are just talking with the patient, and after that the patient leaves and I have to spend 15 to 20 minutes doing the patient now, send the prescription, the laboratories, refer the patient to another hospital or another provider, and that takes 20 minutes. And what if we give for this at the end of the day is going to be 4 or 5 hours? And what if we give these 4 hours to those doctors to see more patients instead, to double the capacity of seeing patients? It's amazing because we can increase the volume of the patients for any hospital, any insurance even, and for the healthcare providers, they can see, instead of 20 or 30 patients in a day, you can see, say, 60 patients in the same amount of hours.
Love it. Thank you.
And we use NLPs, speech recognition, for that, to classify, to understand the clinical terminology, and to put it into the EHR. Once it is on the EHR, we can trigger the next steps, which is sending the prescription to the pharmacist, to the laboratories, imaging, referring to another hospitals, etc. Did I answer your question? Because I know technical people like more deep answers, and sometimes.
I'm both technical and investor, so yes, you answered my question. It was
all right.
and correctly.
Just let me know. I'm improving it. Yeah, not being the CTO.
I have a nosy question. I'm very nosy. Tell me about your team. Are you all related?
Oh, that's a great question, and everybody asks that. Yes, we are. We're Elisa is my sister.
That's all right. We're related too, so it's okay.
Yeah, I know.
How did you know, Lexi?
What?
How did you know? What made you?
They all have the same last name.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
I didn't even see that. I was just looking. I was like, look at all these beautiful brown people, and then I got lost. I was like, she's dope.
Oh my God.
Like, yeah, the COO. I was like, oh, she's exited a company. Yeah. That's super dope. And so yeah, I got lost there. I didn't see a single last name. I saw Eliza's first name. Like I saw Juan Pablo's first name. I didn't see any of the last names.
Yes, Lisa is my sister, and Alfredo is my brother. Of course, I know them for many years. We've been working together, also formally working in the digital healthcare industry for over 10 years together. We start our last project together and we left together, and that's gonna happen in this project. We join together and we're gonna live together, no matter what. Of course, when we get to the exit. That's our goal. But this is how it works, right? This is family.
Absolute brilliant family, clearly. I've never seen that happen in my family.
No, you guys are crushing it.
It would never happen in my family.
You should write a book about it.
When we grew up, we thought that, okay, what are you studying? Medicine? Okay, what are you studying? Software engineering? Okay, we're not gonna see never again. It's like, okay, everybody's doing their things and stuff. But when the technology were growing and stuff, and say, okay, we should mix our stuff, because they're complementary things, especially to work in the healthcare system. You always need a CTO in there. Everybody asks, do you have a CTO or a technical or developer in your company? Everybody asks that. Yes, he's my brother. Oh, all right. So that's amazing. And also having Elisa as sales and marketing specialist is very good, because actually she's more chill than me. So it's like, always having a woman in your team, it changes you a lot. The to see the way how to see the things to help. We did a lot of social impact these months, helping our country, Bolivia especially. We saw a lot of patients just for free because we needed to help them. That's Elisa, something that she gave to us, and it's different to interact and work with a woman, and we appreciate it a lot.
I love that. So, audience, while you're here, if you'd like to vote for this company, text
All right,
to 203-408-6432. Once again, that's texting 4 to 203-408-6432. And after you're done with that, please feel free to type in your questions in the comments, and we will get those answered for you. So, first question, we have a lot of great comments, first of all. Pablo. People seem to really be excited.
All right.
If you can put them on the side. But for your
No, not yet. It's still in the half of the way. We have to do a lot of things. Many more things that we're planning. So this is just the beginning.
So we're going to read Peter Broncato's question. Peter says, congrats, Martixa, a very great company with a great team, a clear mission, and differentiated target market. From a clinical perspective, I'd like to know, how are you considering tackling the increasing mental health challenges in our communities due to COVID-19?
Wow, that's amazing. I talk about the New York City Major Office, right? We're one of the points to work on is mental health for teenagers in underserved areas in New York City, Inwood and Washington Heights. If you have the opportunity, guys, to stay in New York City, or if you are, so we're driving this this project with the Major's office, improve the healthcare. The mental health in those people. We're those teenagers because we know Hispanics or Latinx are having a lot of troubles with language barrier, immigration, cultural things, and a lot of stuff that we need to address. And congratulations to the New York City Major's office, because they're focusing on mental health in teenagers in New York City. And we are happy to be one of those companies that is going to help in achieve that thing, at least in New York City. And if we pass the pilot, if we do a good pilot, helping them, of course, virtual visits are going to be one of our parts of the project that we're going to deliver in New York. After that, we can extend this project into the entire state, and after that, maybe into the entire country. Helping always helping people, trying to give them what the best we can do, the best that we can do for them. So that's something that we have done, and also we have been delivering psychiatric consultations because of this COVID. A lot of people had troubles with the mental health. We've been delivering. I had a strong team of psychiatrists in our platform who have been delivering medical visits and therapies for those people that had mental diseases or illness-related things.
Yeah, well,
fantastic.
All the other comments are people just, pouring praise on you, the family. I did just also want to mention, when I saw the list of your really co-founders, aka family members, I thought that all of them were very, very strong. And it didn't, usually when you see like family teams, or like Candace and I, husband and wife, where Candace is strong and I'm not as strong, right? You see like there's a drop off, right, in talent. But I would have picked those people independent of being related to you. Like Alfredo's experience, I'll speak to the technical side, is as good as anybody in the industry. His number of years doing what he's doing is dead on for what you do. And so, yeah, there seems to be no drop off in talent just because you've also got the strength of the bond of family at the same time. So I think it's just worthy of saying both behind your back in the next segment, but also, to your face. Cool. Want to give those numbers one more time, Lexi, and then we'll chat.
One last time, if you'd like to vote for the company, text 4 to 203-408-6432. 4 to 203-408-6432.
All right.
Dr. Juan Pablo, stay safe, and thank you for the work that you're doing here during this pandemic.
Thank you so much. That's it. I expect more questions.
See?
That's it. That's it. It's actually way longer than we normally go. So.
Yeah. Oh, all right. Okay, Candy.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Lexi.
You always say hi to Lexi. Everyone loves Lexi. Rock star. There's comments about Lexi about being does not miss a thing.
No,
it's L. L is my type A personality, which is very true. I'm aggressively type A.
Perfectly type A, not aggressively. We like it. So
speaking of my type A personality, I was recently reading about this shift in American healthcare to having kind of ethnically specific healthcare, right? So, and even some people in the chat are building really cool things that are specifically for the LGBTQ plus community, specifically for the Black community, specifically for the Latinx community, and having culturally relevant providers who are trained in those groups who can provide the best care. And no one's really come on top yet for the Latinx community here. And I think it's incredibly important. And I couldn't even imagine trying to get care in certain parts of the country and not speaking English fluently, and how difficult that must be for absolutely no reason. So it's really excited to see someone.
It's a huge market. It's a lot of people.
It's half the country, right?
Yeah.
Oh, but you guys, it's niche, right? It's niche. 60 million people. Super niche. What we do here at Lightship, super niche. Like, how are you guys going to find companies? I'm not sure how you're going to find companies. There are 60 million Latin American people. What are we, like Latino people, what are we talking about? 60 million. 60 million. Come on, you guys.
Then you add Central America, South America, right? And it's just, there's more people in those geographies.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so back to the company.
Okay.
Dr. Juan Pablo is great. He's obviously, like, not only is he doing God's work, but I just love the fact that he's solving this problem incrementally, right? Like, he's tackling one problem, like he started with COVID and kind of just doing kind of like virtual telehealth, and then he's slowly building. And he's doing it not only here in the States, but he's doing it back home. And I love that. And back home is a lot of space. And so he can crush it here with all of the Spanish speakers that are here, all of the folks that are speaking, just English here in the United States, but he can just go south and just crush it. Because if no one's there in the market, he could really do a great job. So again, like I said, on Jefferson's pitch, like, I just need to dig into the competitors. Like, is this really, like, on its face really true? Like, there's not a lot of competition in Latin America in this particular area. And is there not a lot of competition for Spanish speaking telehealth? Crazy if that's true. And maybe we found it here on Twitch Pitch.
Yeah, I agree with all those comments. I would just add, as he's thinking about NLP and all those kind of language algorithms, each language is like starting over, right? So now is the time for him to be doing both the English and the Spanish right up front. That gives you plenty of markets. Just work on those two first, master those two, and by the time you need to get to the next ones, you're already going to be so well down the road and so much revenue. But I would actually start with both of them now, because I think it's really important. And what you also want to see is when you train two, you can look for disparities in the quality of either one, and then use that to kind of train them off of each other, right? So this phrase I'm doing really well in Spanish, I'm doing this phrase not as well in English. Why would that be? You know, you kind of learn how to make the other ones better from that experience too. So,
Brian, so from your experience, like with NLP, like how does it work with a person who they're a native Spanish speaker, but they're speaking in English?
Yeah.
Right? Like, how does it modify, and kind of how do you train in that circumstance?
Yeah.
With an accent.
And you don't find it the other way around as often. So the answer is you've got to train all the different iterations of English. We laugh and joke even in our own office that sometimes Lexi and I say things that you may not say, or sometimes Lexi says things that I wouldn't say, and because we're from 3 different cities, right? So all of those little things all matter, right? That's why NLP it's a largely solved space, but it is still difficult. It's still difficult. It's not it's not the edge of AI, but it's still not easy. Yeah, but going back to your thing about English and Spanish, the reason to train both is particularly in the United States, we speak a lot of Spanglish, right? Where people would go move between the two in the same sentences, or depending on generations, an older person will only speak in one language, and the answer will be back in a different language sometimes. Sometimes young people understand Spanish, but will answer in English, just because they're the 3rd generation here, and that's kind of what happens over time. So it's important to train both algorithms and allow them to kind of work together. Lexi just loved it. No.
Oh, sorry, someone just woke up.
Hamilton here.
This is the time. Let this be the episode where you do the introduction.
Oh, well, audience, while we're waiting, this is my new best friend, Hamilton, a recent addition to my family. He's a little baby Maltese, and he's the cutest thing in the entire world, and he's sleeping. Oh,
he's so cute. He's so cute.
So if you ever notice that I look like my hands are scrambling, or I'm like looking down during the show, this is what I'm looking at.
It almost looks like a cat, just kind of like crawling up. So funny.
It's your cat-like behavior.
The official mascot of Lightship Capital.
But speaking of things like Hamilton, like beautiful emotional support dogs, I get really excited about the potential for this to be a full holistic health and wellness platform long term, like everything from physical to mental to even support. I think that's really incredible as a long term thing, because once again, no one's really figured it out for people who aren't, rich old white people.
There you go.
All right, Moran says it's time for us to go.
All right, everyone. So thank you again for joining us for another episode of Twitch Pitch Season 3. We had 2 great companies. As a reminder, please go and vote for them if you haven't yet at the number. So if you want to vote for Vuetech, text 3 to 203-408-6432. And if you'd like to vote for Martixa, text 4 to 203-408-6432. Both are great companies. Super excited to see what happens as they grow, and hopefully they move on to the finale. And that's it for us. Thank you again to our sponsors, the Hillman Accelerator, the Ohio Third Frontier, AARP, and AWS. Really excited to help power the show. And that is it for us. Till next time, we will see you on Thursday for another episode, 7 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, now a little behind the scenes. Probably do a short one today because I completely made a huge mistake.
What?
So, and this is fine for behind the scenes. Very interesting.
Yeah, and I'm going to move to another location that actually has a power charger, because at this point, this computer is about to die.
No.
So, welcome everyone to the Shinola Hotel here in Detroit, Michigan.
Beautiful, beautiful. So actually, which is my point. So I'm supposed to be joining Candace there. and I was all excited, like, oh yeah, okay, I can't wait. I miss her so much. So I cancel my current flight to Cincinnati, and then was gonna go book the Detroit.
Brian Isaac.
Turns out there's no flights. So now I've canceled my flight home, and I don't have a flight to Detroit. So I'm gonna call the airline and be like, hey, you know that thing I just did, canceling? Just bring it back.
Wait, I'm not trying to get everybody in this business, but I really need you here tomorrow.
I know. I'm trying. We'll see.
So let's work on a flight. Even if you have to connect. I know you don't like to connect, but sometimes.
Well, I could connect if I leave right now. If I go to the airport right now.
At 8:30 at night. I'm sure there's a flight.
Connect in Charlotte tonight, and I can get there first thing in the morning. But I didn't buy that.
Shameless shout out to Miho, who is watching this episode. One of our favorite alum of Twitch Pitch, the founder and CEO of Moodbit.
Absolutely.
She's awesome. She kicks butt. And also a shout out to someone that the audience hasn't met yet, but they're doing great things. Flexia Pilates. The audience will find out about them soon enough.
Oh dear.
And Miho
scoping out the episodes.
Miho also Team South America as well, right?
They were in Startup Chile also.
Yeah,
right?
also Startup Chile. Yep. So a lot of love out here.
Like tonight's episode was really great, like super strong founder. So again, shout out to Lexi for selecting great companies for Twitch Pitch. At some point, some bigger firm is going to scoop her up, and we're all going to die over here slowly.
No.
Man, for now, she's a great picker.
We're just going to pour Carrie on her so that she literally cannot afford to ever leave.
Her generation is not motivated by money, so let's start there.
Carrie, it's a little bit
Carrie's wealth.
Carrie, yeah, exactly.
Okay, fam. I'm there. Now I'm listening.
That's
listening.
That's Jay-Z saying, he bought that art piece. No, what is it? Oh yeah, he bought the building for $250, then he flipped it to $500, and now it's worth $2 million, and he can't wait to give it to his children.
There you go.
It's in the story of OJ.
Listen, and we all know how it's going to go. Hamilton's going to be in the will, right?
He is the will. He's the whole will.
So
there's no one else.
You got to create wealth for Hamilton.
Yes.
Isn't that
what Leland Hamilton did? Didn't she leave like a whole bunch of money to like the dog? Like she wrote the family out and left the dogs in, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tough lady.
All right, guys. It's late.
I know it's late. It's late. So. Oh my gosh. All right. Well.
Yes. Thank you. Did Marlon just write that?
I don't know why we're adding the curse words in. I mean, this is like more like regular radio here. This is not like.
Well, I mean, this is behind the scenes, so it's okay. It's okay. No. This portion was not sponsored by anyone. Anywho. All right. Good night, fam.
Bye, everybody.
Good night, all.
Bye.